Alright guys, in today's segment of my Washington and Alabama college football semifinal preview video, I'm going to talk about players who stand out on the tape as I watch them in the games for both teams. This is just going to be a quick little video. Hopefully it'll be quick. I know I have a tendency to make my videos long, but just some of the things I've seen from guys that stand out when I watch the tape. I'll start with Washington because I know a lot of you Alabama fans. Of course, we got to mention stars. We got John Ross, and the thing that stands out to John Ross about me is that he's a receiver who he's not that big, not that tall, but he is extremely, and I repeat, extremely quick. Probably one of the quickest guys I've seen this college football season. Yes, one of the quickest guys I've seen this college football season. When he gets the ball, he looks like a blur. Like he's not, how sometimes you have a short guy who looks very quick, shifty, has good acceleration, but not necessarily long-term speed-ish. He is the type of guy who has all of it. He's really fast, he's really shifty and quick, and he's elusive. And that makes it very difficult to cover this type of guy because he's not the big guy who has the long-term speed but not that shifty, so you can stay with him a little bit easier. He has the moves and he has the long-term speed, and so he can be a bit of a mismatch. Probably one of the most talented receivers in the nation right now. Good guy. Also, a guy who doesn't get that much publicity out of their wide receiving group is Chico McClatcher. Now, he's very, very short. So they have a very short wide receiver course. So that'll be interesting to play into the matchup as well. But he's 5'7", about 180 pounds. But he's also very, very quick. They have some very explosive guys. And he's one of those explosive guys. In the USC game, he got behind the secondary a few times and made some interesting plays. John Ross did as well. So, cool. Dante Pettis, sometimes he can be the forgotten man, which is weird because he still has a lot of catches, but sometimes he can be the forgotten man. A great route runner, seems to find himself open. Following that traditional Pettis line, Boise State had the other Pettis brother, and he's in the NFL, and so they have a good receiver core there. Those three guys stand out because, they're the stars, that's who they are. Jake Browning, of course, he is a smart guy, just a sophomore, has thrown 42 touchdowns this year. Only 7 interceptions, although they kind of came in bunches, so at least the second half of those interceptions did, I think, in the USC game and a few others. But he's accurate. I noticed he's most accurate on his intermediate throws, the slant routes, those kind of the curls and the dig. He seems to hit the receiver very accurately on those throws that are middling the field, that are timing based, which is what the scouting report says. And he's a timing based quarterback. He throws in rhythm, which he's very accurate on. So that matches. One issue is that I noticed that lately he's not been hitting the deep balls as effectively, and so he does that. Have that tendency sometimes to miss them, and I'll talk about that when I get into the matchups of some of the. When I break down some of the Washington versus USC and the Washington versus Colorado game. Also, I'm going to move on into their offensive line. Their left tackle, who I think he's a true sophomore. I don't have, Trey Adams, that's his name. I've watched him, I'll just talk about the offensive line in general for a second. They're kind of a smallish line. They're not overly small, but they're more quick rather than they are bulky and strong. But they tend to get in good position well, and they move, and they can run, and they tend to take advantage of their athleticism. And Trey Adams is kind of the leading figure for the offensive line, and he was one of their more decorated guys out of the state of Washington. They kept him in, and he does pretty well for the most part. Moving on into their defense, one guy who catches my attention on the defensive line is Greg Gaines, who doesn't get a lot of attention. A lot of media don't talk about defensive linemen in general, but he's number 99. And he holds up at the point of attack very well. I saw him make a few plays and hold up a few times on the tape against Washington versus Colorado. So be on the lookout for him. Also, Quells, number 11 for Washington defensive line. They stand him up sometimes in this weird formation that they use that I talked about in the previous video. He'll stand up kind of like a standing rush linebacker, but he's really a heavy kind of D-tackle defensive end type guy. But they stand him up anyway, and they allow him to set the edge. And he made a few plays here and there too. Their best linebackers, the two of them, their best pass rushing kind of tweener defensive end / outside linebacker guy Joe Mathis got hurt earlier in the season, and he was their primary pass rusher. He was the reason why they were getting so many sacks early in the season. And when he went down, they started to struggle a bit. So they're missing their best pass rushing outside linebacker. UW's missing their best pass rushing outside linebacker slash defensive end. Their best overall linebacker, Abzim Victor, he's also out. Got hurt in the USC game, and that really hurt their defense as well. Now, guys like Berea and Sam Wuching have stepped in, but they're not at the same caliber level as those other two guys. So Sam Wuching and Berea, they make plays. They try to come up and be physical in the run game, and so that'll be a telling sign if they can hold up well against Bama's running game, is how Sam Wuching and Berea play, along with the defensive line in general. In the secondary, guys, I don't have to mention their names because that's the calling card for their defense right now. The true freshman Taylor Rapp at free safety, probably one of the most impressive free safeties I've ever seen play man-to-man coverage. And well, let me not be that superlative. I'll just say that he, this year and in recent years, used to seeing kind of bigger free safeties. This guy, he kind of looks like a cornerback a little bit, Taylor Rapp, number 21, and he plays man-to-man coverage about as well as any safety that I've seen so far. Really good. Outside of Minka Fitzpatrick from Alabama, he does a really good job. He got a couple of interceptions from Colorado playing man-to-man coverage on tight ends and receivers, so that was actually very impressive. Then you got Sidney Jones, the cornerback for Washington. I can't remember the other cornerback's name right now, but he's also well known, and they pretty much the whole secondary. Oh, JoJo McIntosh, who's the other safety. He's a big hitter. They call him Friendly Fire. That's his nickname, Friendly Fire, because when he's hitting people, he usually hurts his own teammates a little bit, and they actually made a verb out of his name and say you've been friendly fired. Because when he hits people, he hits them hard, hits opponents hard, and he's also had a tendency to kind of bang up his teammates, and his teammates make jokes about it. So they have a hard hitter, they have a covering safety, they have two excellent cornerbacks. They're both tall, like 6'3", 6 feet. So their secondary has a lot of talent in it and a lot of NFL draft prospects. And as one of you guys mentioned in the video, UW fans said they go about 7 or 8 deep. So the secondary is definitely their strength on defense. So it'll be interesting to see them match up, and that'll be that's my transition into Alabama. Going into our wide receivers. Alabama fans, you know these guys, but you got Calvin Ridley, who was a 5-star wide receiver prospect. You got Darius Stewart, who was also one of the top wide receiver prospects and athletes in general coming out of high school. Gary Dieter, who the graduate transfer from Bowling Green, who's been playing slot for Alabama. He's a tall guy, but he's been making great plays over the middle and just intermediate routes and being kind of a safety net for Jalen Hurts this season. Calvin Ridley hasn't been much as a factor this year. He's received more double coverage, but Jalen Hurts has taken a liking to Darius Stewart, who's become his favorite receiver. Jalen Hurts has thrown the ball to Darius Stewart more often than anyone else. But that's not even all the weapons. You have O.J. Howard at tight end, who is one of the most athletically gifted tight ends in the nation in general. So that is a strength. Also, Alabama's offensive line is a big strength. Cam Robinson, one of the best left tackle prospects in the whole nation, will be most likely a top 10, top 5 draft pick this year. The center Bradley Bozeman has been playing great. Right tackle Jonah Williams, as a true freshman on the offensive line, has probably outplayed Cam Robinson the majority of the year, which is impressive because Cam hasn't been playing bad this year. Just that Jonah Williams, a true freshman right tackle, has been playing very, very good. And that'll be an interesting matchup to see. And also, Jalen Hurts, of course, the true freshman, who kind of, his inexperience at times has been held offense back a little bit at Alabama, but he's also been talented and showing off his running, his QB draws, his ability to throw the ball down the field. He has the arm strength. He has those things, so he can make those plays. It'll be interesting to see how he does against the Washington defense, so look out for Jalen. The running backs. Oh, I forgot to mention the Washington running backs. How could I do that? So I can't forget about Levon Coleman, who impressed me a lot with his long-term speed. He's a big guy who can actually move. But they have two impressive running backs, so Levon Coleman, and then they have Myles Gaskin, who is technically the starting, more the quick, shifty, elusive back, but who can still run through the tackles as well. So those two backs are very, very good. Moving on to Alabama, we have Damian Harris, Bo Scarborough, Joshua Jacobs, B.J. Emmons when he's healthy. He's a true freshman. Joshua Jacobs is a true freshman. Bo Scarborough, of course, redshirt sophomore, and Damian Harris, who's a true sophomore. And they all have been really, really productive this year. Damian Harris is almost at 1,000 yards. Bo Scarborough's getting close to 500 yards. Joshua Jacobs is getting close to 500. BJ Emmons is doing well when he comes in, usually in mop-up duty. And of course, Jalen Hurts is running the ball. Very, very talented, stable core running backs with different types of running styles. Damian Harris's vision stands out. Bo Scarborough's power stands out. And Joshua Jacobs' elusiveness and just all around ability as a back stands out. He can catch, he's elusive, and he can run in the middle. So Alabama has a very talented, stable core of running backs. So look out for the running back core for Alabama. On defense, I just have to say the whole defense, number one defense in the nation. On the defensive line, all of these guys could probably be first-round picks if they didn't leave altogether. Dalvin Tomlinson, who's the knockdown king, batting down the balls at the line of scrimmage and also holding up well in the run. You have Deron Payne, one of the best nose tackles in the nation. I'll go ahead and say he probably is the best nose tackle in the nation. And you have Jonathan Allen on the outside technique, pass rushing, plays to run and pass equally well. So it's been amazing. The outside linebackers, the pass rushers, Tim Williams, Rashawn Evans, who's actually playing middle linebacker this year, so we have a fast middle linebacker. Sean Deion Hamilton got hurt, so there's the injury for Alabama. Sean Deion Hamilton is out, but Rashawn Evans will play for him. But I cannot forget about Ryan Anderson, who's been playing lights out, who doesn't get as much attention as Tim Williams, even though he plays more than Tim Williams, and they both are excellent pass rushers. Coming off the edge, they've been abusing right and left tackles all year, especially in the beginning of the year with USC, who's a common opponent. So you Washington fans will know how well these guys have been playing. They really beat on Chad Wheeler didn't play that game, but it was Chuma Edoga and it was the right tackle Zach Banner, Ryan Anderson, and Tim Williams put them on their butt the whole game. So they've been playing good. Linebacker, of course, Reuben Foster won the Buckets Award this year. Amazing guy. He's really, really fast. Probably one of the fastest linebackers I've ever seen. So instinctive, always getting to the plate, putting people on their back. He hit Ole Miss quarterback Chad Kelly earlier this year, and it was such a big hit that the whole defense got scared for Chad Kelly. They admitted that in the AL.com report. Now, moving into the secondary, we know this team, you got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was a cornerback last year as a true freshman, but when Eddie Jackson, our best safety, got hurt, he moved to safety, and he played well there. But we also have Marlon Humphrey, who's highly regarded as one of the top draft prospects for cornerbacks. But most people don't talk about Anthony Averett, who is the little-known guy in the secondary, who's been playing great lights out coverage all year long, and he's been really good at that other outside corner spot. Tony Brown, former 5-star cornerback prospect, playing in the slot, and then you have Ronnie Harrison playing the other safety spot opposite Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's been playing great football ever since the Kentucky game of this year. He's been playing lights out. So those are the matchups. Washington special teams I haven't heard much about. I have to look more into that. But for Alabama, we have J.K. Scott, one of the best punters in the nation. He's been punting the ball extremely well. And then you have Adam Griffith, the kicker, who when he's on well, and when he misses, he'll miss a kick. But other than that, that is all the players to look out for now, and be on the lookout for my next video. Thank you.